Our strategic overview began with becoming the low-cost provider in internet sales. We felt this would be a very beneficial area for us to be the leader in as far as what we were to charge per shoe in the internet industry. So we started out with a shoe price of $69. In year 15, actually went down to $59 and then gradually crept back up to around $64 to end. This was always very beneficial for us. We took a large market share with this strategy. We wanted to be a leader in corporate social responsibility. We felt this was very important as far as our SQ rating and in other matters, making sure that we were a leader in this area to show our consumers that we were serious about our corporate social responsibility. We wanted to increase SQ rating with superior materials, enhanced styling, TQM, and best practices training. This was very important as SQ rating really mattered in the long run. We were slowly attempting to increase this year over year, and it paid big dividends in the end. We wanted to be a market leader in Asia Pacific wholesale market. This was key for us as no one else separated themselves as trying to be a market leader. We really put a lot of emphasis on our Asia Pacific wholesale market and the production thereof, the shoes there. We were shipping to both the Asia Pacific market as well as the European through this production plant, and so it proved to be a good strategy for us overall. We utilized plant upgrades to boost market status. So we did not really utilize a lot of excess capacity. We chose to utilize plant upgrades such as increasing SQ rating through the Asia and US market plants. We completed a stock repurchases yearly to boost EPS and ROE. This was very key for us to boost, again, both the EPS and ROE. Stock repurchases allowed us to do that, and so we attempted to repurchase as much stock as we could year over year. We increased our credit rating and maintained a low default risk profile. This was key as far as obtaining loans and producing excess capacity. We wanted to always create a low default risk as far as investors and shareholders go. Moving on to the competitor analysis, our main competitor was Team D, Debonair Shoes. We were kind of in a constant fight with them. Overall, we finished with a better EPS, better stock price. Credit rating was around a similar A+, and our default risk were both low. We were able to end with a little higher net revenue than Team Debonair. However, they were still one place ahead of us. Our internet price allowed us to compete specifically with Team D, and I think that overall that's what allowed us to end the game with a higher EPS and higher stock price, which are key driving factors in the positioning of the game. As far as lessons learned, we had a constant review of different strategies within the industry. It's critical to avoid executing the same strategy as competitors. So you constantly have to look at other teams and whatnot in your industry. It's a constant struggle for every firm to continue to understand what the other firms in the industry are doing. This is super important as it allows you to see what it is that you are doing in the industry that others are not, and what you can improve upon. Establishing ourselves as a low-cost internet provider proved to be beneficial in later years of the game. I do again think that this was from the get-go our biggest differentiating factor as far as charging the lowest amount possible in the internet segment. I think it allowed us to establish ourselves as that low-cost provider and continue to have success as far as moving forward in the later years of the game. Our stock repurchases allows you to boost EPS and ROE significantly. We did find this out through trial and error. Doing the stock repurchases allowed us to boost our EPS and ROE significantly, and that was a key driving factor as far as the positioning in the game. As soon as we started doing stock repurchases, every year, we began to see the results in our positioning as far as what we were able to gain back on our equity and our stock price. Purchasing plant capacity sparingly resulted in a reduction of inventory shortfall. It was very important that we understood that we weren't going to purchase a lot of capacity to basically overrun our plants and make sure that we weren't putting excess capacity into the market that wasn't needed. So we did this sparingly. We did about 200,000 pairs here and there to different markets just to make sure that we were keeping up with competition, but we did not overspend in this area. The private label market is generally controlled by firms that choose to enter the market early, but is not necessary to a performing firm. So we chose not to really dive into the private market. We did use it, I think, one of the years to kind of boost some sales a little bit, but other than that, we didn't really, try to gain the market share in the private market. We saw that, there were a few firms that were able to capture this market early on, and they continued to be the firms that were within this market and had the majority of market share. So fighting with them to try to gain control of that later on in the game didn't prove to be beneficial, and overall didn't really prove to be beneficial to us in the long run. And increases in TQM and best practices training will significantly increase your SQ rating. So we chose to invest heavily in the TQM and best practices training. Towards the middle years, we were giving 5,000 in each of these areas, and then I believe over $2 in TQM. This was very important, especially in the Asia Pacific market. These are the things that really drive that SQ rating in the upward fashion. So we felt that utilizing these two tools would help us position ourselves at the best in the game. So these were our lessons learned, and this covered our overall project. I appreciate the time, and thank you.